All right, welcome to another episode of Chasing Rings. Gentlemen, what's good?
Hey,
Brother,
Our
what's
first
up,
show
brother?
since the draft. So, a little bit of exhale on our end. We've done a lot of work leading up to the draft, culminating with the live stream last week, which we thought went very well. Some people nailed it, aka Big Dude,
big
killed
dude.
it. He's now our resident expert. So when you look forward to next
Nah,
year, Big Dude's that
nah,
man. They don't call him
dude.
Big Dude for nothing.
We just follow big dude.
That's right. That's right. That's right. All right. So on the next few episodes, we are going to basically give our analysis of how each team did in the draft, and we will share our grades for each team on social media. So be on the lookout for that. But tonight, we will start with Arizona and work our way on through all the teams and give you our analysis of how we think they did. But you know how we do. We always have to start with, you know what it is, our wait, what? All right, Big Dude, set us off.
Well, uh, I tried to figure out where to start at. We are doing the draft, and a lot of what we've done is we know the draft projects talent. A lot of people would think, since we dealt with mostly the first round, that talent is going to result in victories in Super Bowls and Super Bowl MVPs. But did you know? Did you know that of the 60 Super Bowls, 28 of the 60, so it's 32 on one end of first round, but almost even, did not get drafted. Those Super Bowl MVPs did not get drafted in the first round. It's almost split.
Wait, what?
Sixth round with five Super Bowl MVPs, and Kurt Warner undrafted with a Super Bowl MVP.
You would definitely expect there to be more of the early rounders that would end up with that particular award, but that's good news for the guys that were drafted late, certainly. So, G, what do you have for us tonight?
Usually all the publicity goes to the first rounders. And so I was just curious about second rounders, like how many of them truly become solid contributors. And it was actually more than what I expected. So roughly between 49 and 65% of second round draft picks become solid contributors and actually having a significant career.
Wait,
Okay.
what?
Okay.
Yep, I didn't expect it to be that high.
Pretty high.
Yeah, that is pretty high. That is pretty high. All right. So my way up for tonight is, did you know that Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price made Notre Dame the first school to produce the first two running backs picked in a draft? So the first two running backs drafted from the same school,
Wow.
and they're the first program with two first round backs since 2008. Arkansas. Do you guys want to take a guess on who those guys may be? Wait, what?
2008.
So 2008 Arkansas. I know it's right there.
You got me.
No, I know. Hold up. You got to say it.
All right, Darren McFadden. I got one. See if you can get the other one. Think you can get the other one?
No, I was thinking Darren McFadden. I couldn't get the other one.
So Darren McFadden to the Raiders and Felix Jones to the Cowboys.
Felix Jones.
I thought it was Peyton Hillis and Darren McFadden. But interesting note on that, Peyton Hillis would have been the third running back from that backfield. He was drafted later on in the 7th round, I believe it was, who ended up playing for Cleveland, had a few good years before. I think he hurt his neck. I believe that cut his career a little bit short. So that's my way what for today.
Wow.
That's a real good
one. Let's get into some news. A lot of news today. And I'm trying to think where to start. I had to cut back for sake of our time, and there were so many things happening today. So I guess I'll start with Major League Baseball. We don't cover them a whole lot. 2 managers, you guys, fired in the last 3 days.
Didn't it just start?
They just started. There's like 130 games plus left, and teams have already gotten rid of their managers. The Red Sox on Saturday fired Alex Cora, and the Phillies yesterday, right? Or was it today, big dude, fired Rob
Today.
Thompson?
It was today.
Today fired Rob Thompson. So Alex Cora, if you remember, he's the last manager to lead the Red Sox to a World Series. That was in 2018 when they beat the Dodgers. And then, Rob Thompson, obviously for the Phillies, preseason favorite to win the NL East. But the Phillies have lost 11 out of 12. But I think, and you can correct me, big dude, as a Phillies fan, didn't they kind of shake up the roster in a way that didn't advance the team to where it really needs to go based on how successful they've been last year? From what I've heard is they have a few gaps in some places that they didn't really address in the offseason, and they lost a few people.
Well, they traded Nick Castellano and got Garcia. I forgot his first name. Garcia, the right fielder from the Texas Rangers. The pitching, they just got Zach Wheeler back. So I don't understand. The starting rotation is one of the strongest by statistics and all those other good old AI stuff in the major leagues by the expectations. Bullpen is stronger than it was last year. So I'm not sure exactly. I think what's happening is the major people just aren't hitting. Harper's not hitting, and Schwarber and Alex Bohm, they finally put it together tonight. It won 7-0 with Don Mattingly as the interim. But
my guy,
I know there's a whole lot. People have a whole lot of questions about the general manager. So apparently the general manager asked the guy from Boston on Saturday. He said, "I'm getting ready to make this move. You want to be the manager?" I'm like, "What? Oh, come on."
And that goes to show you how crazy these coaching and management positions are. You fire your manager, and then you're going to try to hire another manager who just got fired 2 days earlier.
Right.
It makes sense.
Only in sports, man. Sense. Well, that's
only in sports.
I was going to say only in sports. That ain't true.
It's just more visible to us because it's in the media, right?
Exactly.
The next one is, remember the NBA gambling and poker game situation that we talked about in the fall? Well, it's about to start going down now. Damon Jones, former NBA player and assistant coach, he was the first one to plead guilty in federal court today to 2 counts of conspiracy and to commit wire fraud. So basically he had 4 counts against him, which were all felonies. But the 2 counts that he pleaded guilty to were illegal gambling in the rigged poker games. And I know, you're like, what in the heck is up with these poker games, right? So basically we discussed the fact that he gave inside information. Specifically, he had given information on LeBron, whether LeBron would play and things like that. But in terms of the poker, it was basically knowing that the poker games were going to be fixed in luring people to the games, knowing that they were going to lose their money. So it's pretty much that cut and dry. So he's going to be sentenced. And here's our judicial system. His sentencing isn't until January 27.
What?
Never understood.
Man, yeah.
Court system.
Got to expand those judges, man.
Exactly. They could have probably done it today, to be quite honest with you, but
you would think.
I don't know the schedule, but not until January. So he could possibly face. He could possibly get between 21 and 27 months for the NBA gambling, and then 63 to 78 months for the poker games. So the poker's 5 to 7 years, and then a little over 2.5 for the NBA gambling. But prosecutors, because he plead, they gave him a end of the month, April 30th date to plead guilty. So because he did that, they're going to knock 15 months off. So we're hoping that
some type of reward.
Yeah. So they did discuss Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier a little bit, but it seems like those 2 brothers are headed for some time as well. So we'll stay tuned for that. But this is Damon Jones, the first of 34 defendants in this case.
34?
34.
Yeah. Why did I think it was only like 7 or so people?
Well, of course, they're parading the big names around for us. But they're not going to, put the guys that we wouldn't know, They're not going to parade them in front of us. They want to get the big names to scare people and, make it a media circus. So we'll keep our eyes on that, the saga that never ends. The NCAA basketball tournament, March Madness, is moving to 76 teams. It's all but done. Fellas, what do you think about expanding March Madness?
Makes no sense to me.
I understand.
Does it make sense?
My belief is that you have a lot of the Power Fives, not even just Power Fives, just mid major. There's a lot of guarantees. Let's just put it that way. And so there are some good teams that get left out because of that. So this is an opportunity to give those people or those teams at least access to the playoffs by expanding those play-in games. So I mean, from a purely competition perspective, I get it. I do. I can't think of an argument against it, to be quite honest. So maybe you and Steph have something I haven't thought about.
I guess my thing is, where does it stop?
Right.
Because, all these years, somebody's always going to be crying about not getting in. And, maybe years ago, I'd probably be the main one. I can't believe they didn't let such and such in. But I'm getting to the point now where the way the schedules are, like everybody's playing everybody, these bigger conferences are expanding. If these bigger conferences, these Power Four conferences want to expand, well, you can't expect to get all 15 of your freaking teams into the tournament. There has to be some standard, because we all remember, back in the day, you couldn't get into the conference tournament being or the March Madness being 500 in your conference.
No.
Right.
And now we see if you look at the Big Ten, some of those teams were under 500. And I'm not saying the Big Ten wasn't a strong conference. I think that they proved that for sure. But to me, if you have all season to kind of show and prove, and you get a second chance in that conference tournament, and if you're finishing under 500 in your conference, and we want to make this more accessible, well, maybe all the big boys can't go, is kind of how I'm looking at it. I don't know what your thoughts are, Big Dude.
I can see that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the same way the goalpost keeps on moving. Who's going to be that? Then we're going to have 30-0 teams that, they already argued about, was it Miami of Ohio?
Yep.
They argued about them being 30-0 from the conference they're in, and a lot of them don't play each other, and in the Power Five schools won't play them. There's all these different types of formulas. It sounds like the formulas and the goalposts and all that are going to have to move again. I just don't know at what point are folks going to come in and win that first round is going to be a throwaway. Already the playing games are questionable after that.
Man, that's true. But, the thing is, you can't just totally throw out. I'm going to use the term mid-majors because that's what a lot of us are used to. You really can't throw out the non-Power Fours, because as we see every year, some of them survive and advance. And obviously it tends to be some of the majority of the same teams, but then there are newbies that will come in and they will play above their expected weight and do a good job. So I wouldn't want to totally get rid of it. But I'm thinking that if we're going to expand it, and it's really kind of thinking back more about what both of you are saying, there has to be a way to force the Power Fours to play the non-Power Fours, so we can have some type of analytical, something where we can calculate the numbers to kind of equate things. But until you have that, we're going to still have a lot of these concerns about who should be in and who not, but you don't really have a true apple-to-apple comparison.
Yep, and that's a great way to wrap that up. We're still going to have these same concerns. I mean, next thing you know, we'll be moving it to 80-something and then to 90-something. It'll be the same argument, but we will see what happens. I mean, it'll add to the excitement for sure, but I don't know. I just think it's starting to get a little overkill. Yeah, then next thing you know, we'll be 256. We'll be in rocking chairs complaining about why it's
Oh,
56.
oh my God! Yeah,
Every team's in.
waiting for the tournament then.
Division 2 and Division 3 teams can qualify. They get a wild card.
Yeah.
But and that's also for the women too. I know I said it from a very male-centric viewpoint, but this is the men's and the women's tournaments. So
Yeah.
which the women's tournament, it doesn't make any sense. We're just going to see more slaughters, but okay.
Yeah. Now that one, I will say I'm with you and Big Dude. The parity in the women's game is different.
Yeah.
There's this all crew that is going to be battling forever, and then there's the rest.
Right.
That's going to be ridiculous. That's going to be
I
ridiculous.
don't get that one. But
And
Title IX, if you expand it for the men, you got to expand it for the women. And you know what? Let those ladies get their shine. So
yep, I'm not going to argue it. That's right. If you're going to change it for one, change it for both. That's right.
Yeah. I was just saying, I think that in terms of equity, what you were saying, Guru, I agree. Even get the first round to be neutral. No more home games for the women for the NCAA. You got to bring it all the way over. I don't know why. I understood why that was in the 80s when I figured it out. I don't understand it now, why they get to have a home game. That was all I was going to say.
Don't it help them make more money if they play at home?
Yeah. Their argument is they can't fill those neutral venues, but I don't buy that. You pick a venue that will accommodate the crowds that you get. There's plenty of, you don't have to play the major arenas in every city, you know, and I think it'll make it more interesting, to be quite honest with you. I mean, you have the number 1 seeds playing at home. I mean, come on, permanent marker, put them in the Final Four. So
first 3 rounds.
Yep.
Good idea.
So this last news story for tonight, Brendan Sorsby. Ooh, boy, this is going to be interesting to follow. So, and I didn't know. So Brendan Sorsby is the former Cincinnati quarterback who just transferred to Texas Tech. I did not, however, realize he had played a freshman year at Indiana. And that's important because basically he's being investigated for gambling, and he apparently gambled on Indiana's games while he was on the team. Now, he only played in 1 game, so he didn't gamble in a game that he played in. So I guess that helped justify it for him, morally speaking. But he's taking an indefinite leave of absence. And I love these. You know, I love the going to counseling, entering rehab. I'm like, what room did they sit in to decide this is what you're going to do, and then it'll go away and you'll be playing by Thanksgiving, right? That's how I see it.
Well, that's exactly what's happening.
I mean, he didn't do anything illegal that they know of yet. And I didn't realize that they just changed the rule where college athletes were able to bet on pro games, but now they can't bet on professional or college games. So this dude was placing like 1,000 bets. So he's got a serious issue. And you guys know that I'm a bit of a gambler. I don't know if I've placed 1,000 bets in my lifetime.
1,000 bets?
1,000 bets. So
that's insane.
So, but this has some fallout with it. So he was one of the most coveted transfers, and we all know, and those of you who follow college football, Texas Tech is a big NIL spender. They were going to be at the top of the mountain again next year. This guy was a Heisman candidate, talking about one of the top quarterbacks coming out. Now his future is not only in jeopardy, he has basically put Tech's potential championship season in jeopardy. And this is some of the issues that we have here. So you have a backup who is recovering from an ACL, who'd be the next person up. And you have a transfer from Tulsa. So those are your 2 options at quarterback. However, remember our friend Dylan Raiola from Nebraska, who transferred to Oregon, who got basically messed up, for lack of a better term, when Dante Moore decided to stay at Oregon. So Dylan's not going to play now. And he's been talking to Texas Tech. Here's the problem. Remember the 2 transfer windows that used to exist? We don't have the spring transfer window anymore. So if Texas Tech proceeds with this, check out these penalties, or they'll get fined 20% of their football budget. Their head coach, Joey McGuire, will be suspended for half the season. So they can go ahead and get Dylan if they want to, but those are the repercussions if they decide to. So they've got to make a decision. Can you get through half a season without your coach?
They doing everything they can to make these athletes stay in these programs. But these doggone coaches can do whatever the heck they want. I don't like
And really, it made no sense to get rid of that second transfer. That was their way to try to get it under control, but it didn't really help anything. You get a guy like Raiola who basically transferred to Oregon thinking Dante Moore is going to the draft. He's going to be the starter. And now you're back in a worse situation than you were because you were the starter at Nebraska. So now you're a man with no country. And this is an opportunity. And it would have been right within that time period. I think that second transfer window, what's today, the 28th? That second transfer window, I think, would have ended Friday. And apparently Texas Tech knew that there had been some gambling in this kid's background prior to. So don't ask me, took all this time for this to now come to light. I don't know. I guess when certain people find out, I guess your brother and sister could know, but once mama find out, then it's trouble, right?
That's right.
Well, we'll see what else comes out of that, because I wouldn't be surprised that that there's some other people involved.
Oh, yeah, they're saying that apparently, and this is what we have as of today, there's no one approached him, no game fixing. Dude he's an Art Schlichter type of character. And only old heads are going to remember that. Just likes to gamble.
Right. That's right.
Somebody snitched on him.
Somebody
must have said something. Probably was another conference coach.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody had
that is.
Somewhere where he didn't go.
Now, what'd you say, Big
There
dude?
you go, Big dude. Yeah. Someplace he didn't go. Snitched him out. Because if Texas Tech knew, those other coaches who were looking at him, they all probably knew what his background was. I'm sure they knew. So anyway, that's our news for today. Let's get into our draft analysis. Yeah. So before we jump into our specific teams, fellas, does anybody have any takeaways? Anybody that they were surprised fell, surprised drafted too early? Any surprises for you? Disappointments, maybe? I know I have one disappointment and a question I want to throw out there for you all. Anything that jumped out at you guys before we jump into our teams?
You want to go first, dude?
I'll go first. I know you have brought somebody up, and I didn't know a whole lot about him until you brought him up, and I thought he was projected to go fourth round and did not get drafted from Bama. Deontay Lawson, who is an undrafted free agent and actually is with the Eagles, so we'll take him.
Yeah, in fact, we got a couple.
Yeah. And I like players like that, and while I was happy for him, also Caden Proctor, I thought he got drafted a little early. I would have never thought that the Dolphins would take him in number 11. You know, it was a pleasant surprise, but I was very surprised that the Dolphins got him because I guess they wanted him to play right away. So I have to give the Dolphins credit for thinking that he was ready, because I thought that maybe another year would come, but that's how it works. Those are like my one that didn't get drafted. And of course, Nussmeier. That's the one that I mean, Nussmeier just barely got in there. I didn't know he was good.
Since you brought that up, let's dive into that, because that was going to be one of mine.
To me, the biggest glaring one. Well, Diego Pavia was, until I went and read more stuff about him today, and I'm like, oh, I get it. So now no, but this one, go ahead, Guru.
It was just a head scratcher, complete head scratcher, that all of those quarterbacks went before him. I couldn't believe it. So, I mean, Cade Klubnik didn't even cross my mind throughout the draft process. And even my guy, my Cole Payton guy, even got drafted way before Nussmeier.
Yeah.
Kellen Green, Athan Kalakamenis from Rutgers. I had never even heard of him.
Oh, from Rutgers.
Yeah, and this Baron Morton kid from Texas Tech. I didn't even know who Texas Tech's quarterback was. I just know he was terrible in the CFP.
Exactly.
Exactly. I just don't understand. Okay, he had an injury. He didn't have a career-threatening injury.
No doubt.
He had an injury that's a difficult recovery, especially if you're trying to play through it at some point. I don't understand that one at all. And I'm really disappointed. He landed in a good spot, kind of, sort of. But you got to figure Mahomes still has quite a few years left. So how long is this kid going to sit? behind
But
Mahomes.
see,
I mean, how many years do you think Mahomes has left?
Maybe 3.
here's the thing about that one. And even though I am perplexed as all get out, because to see how well he performed while nursing that abdominal type injury,
Mm-hmm.
behind where he's at now, he has time to fully heal. There's no stress or
That's
pressure
true.
to get him out on the field. And so now he's going to be learning. So, regardless of what you think about Mahomes, his performance makes him like one of the best in the league. Whether you like him or not, he is.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to learn from that. And they're not too far enough of age that he won't listen to Patrick Mahomes. They're close enough, I think, in that same generation that he can actually talk to him and train
And he's
him
one
up.
of the older quarterbacks too, G. I'm glad you brought that up. He and this Baron Morton kid from Tech are 24. They're the oldest of the quarterbacks.
Okay.
So that's kind of another thing against Nussmeier. He's coming in here 24. I'm going to give up 3 years of a career possibly. I'm almost wondering if KC, because they have good scouts, they usually do pretty well in the draft, if they might be looking at him as an asset.
To
Because
deal later.
remember, they had Alex Smith, remember?
Yeah.
And Alex Smith was leading them, and then they're like, all right, we're good. Mahomes is ready. Got him out of there.
Well, yeah, it was kind of unceremonious the way he got out.
Yeah.
That is,
Yeah.
and
And
you know,
people
Mahomes,
forget Kansas City was right there too with Alex Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So
Alex Smith never could really get them like Luther's curl. Sometimes, what
that bad injury, the fact that he even ever played it, again, that's my guy, man. He's one of my favorite dudes, Alex Smith, man. But yeah, Kansas City did him grimy for sure.
Yeah, they did.
But look what it got him.
Different
Look what
coach,
it got him.
right? Wasn't it a
Yeah.
different? So we're a different coach. I think that they'll be treated well. I think he landed in a good spot. All things
Yeah,
He
considered.
did.
He's not
It
going to
ended up
be
working out for him. It just
He
cost him some
definitely
money.
did. Yeah. Cost him a lot of money.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
seventh
was
round?
Yeah.
If you would have told us Garrett Nussmeier got drafted in the 7th round at any point during the college football season, we would have thought you were out of your mind.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a real possibility that he was not going to get drafted. I said, you know what? If he doesn't get drafted, I kept saying that. If he doesn't get drafted by the next pick, I'm like, what is going on?
I was with you, big dude. I started to give up. I'm like, I don't think he's going to get drafted.
I was holding my breath. I'm like, I can't even listen to it because it was starting to annoy the heck out of me. That's like my dude from the quarterbacks of this year. That's my dude.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I think we both might have had him second or third. No,
like that,
further down in third.
Yeah, he was on a prospect.
What really drew me was when they drafted my Cole Payton kid, and I'm like, whoa, because I wouldn't have been surprised if he would have got drafted in the 7th round.
Mm-hmm.
I, in fact, thought he might have been an undrafted free agent, to be quite honest with you, not to be drafted. I mean, he was drafted 3 rounds. Or 3.5 rounds before Nussmeier was coming out of North Dakota State.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
It was no rhyme or reason to that one.
Nah, not at all. G, did you have anybody else?
Actually,
big dude, you had just those 3, right?
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say Sutton. It was the same thing. He didn't get drafted that late, but I wondered if he was going. That was total luck. When I mentioned Green Bay, I heard another episode. It was total luck because you said it was a good call. But then I said, I don't know what's going to happen. But all those people that would just be for him, I was like, but it's all going to work out because I think he's in the right place.
Absolutely. I was thinking that my boys might get him after he drops.
That's what I thought.
But sorry, G. Did you have anybody else?
Yeah, I had one more. Y'all remember talking about Jack Injuries, the tight end out of Texas?
Yeah.
How the heck he dropped to the 6th round?
Yeah, some of the people that they were drafting before, I just didn't understand the order. If I had to take a generic issue with the draft, I just didn't understand some of these people that were getting picked. They weren't even on the radar. And I know that teams scout differently and, they obviously have a process and they're privy to more information than we are. But how does somebody who is considered in all the rankings in the tops of that position doesn't go till that late? Just doesn't
Bruh,
make any
that
sense.
blew my mind. I mean, look, Cincinnati got them a good one. So I mean, they're thankful, but this dude was like the uh sixth ranked tight end according to the source I'm using. And I'm like, he goes in the seventh?
And that
Yeah.
goes to show you at the end of the day, if we look at how this thing unfolded, these rankings really don't mean a whole lot.
No, he don't.
Because it's not like anybody's really, I think we, being novices and fans looking at the rankings a little bit different, even though we caught on early, like, yeah, these rankings are whatever. But
Yeah.
we have to realize that in the war room, they don't have the rankings in front of them. They've been
done
scouting
all that.
guys. They
I
have
mean,
highlights. Yeah, they're not going by these rankings. I mean, no disrespect, but who are these so-called experts? They've been people who've been doing it a long time, and they become reputable because they've done this. I think Mel Kiper's done it for 42 years or something like that.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know any better than anybody else does at the end of the day.
Yeah, he has. I mean, he was
all
doing
right,
it back
Bill.
when it was in a small, when they didn't have really that fans and all that stuff. He was doing it. Jeff
in the
Lageman.
hotel.
I remember. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, man.
I just had two that I want to bring up. I just had two people that I want to bring up. Nothing really to discuss with them. Two of my other two sleepers, Tyron Montgomery, who is the cat from John Carroll. I was glad to see that the Titans picked him up. I think they may have gotten themselves a steal, getting him as a UDFA. They got him as an undrafted free agency, so that'll be cool. And I think Sawyer Robertson, that quarterback from Baylor, ended up in a good situation. He's on the Raiders.
He did.
So
he got on the Raiders?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, these undrafted free agents, this was, I guess, the most that I delved into that and what it meant. And, like how Diego Pavio went to being invited to actually getting a contract. I didn't know they did that. I thought they had to get invited and earned it. I didn't know you can just sign them right off the jump. So that was pretty cool to find out.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. The camps might be as interesting as they've been in a long time because there's a lot of guys on there that are probably going to make some teams that should have been drafted. And there's a lot of guys who probably think they got dissed by not getting drafted, think they're going to easily make a team, Pavia, that aren't going to make a team. So we'll see.
You don't think he'll make it?
I'm trying to figure out what would they do with him.
Well, because he's a runner. And, that's kind of how their system is set right now. So maybe
I just feel like he's going to get lit up.
Oh, he's going to get
lit up.
Ask Doug Flutie. He's going to get.
I mean, what was the height on him? Isn't he 5'9"?
He was 5'9". Yeah, 5'9" and something at the combine.
Come on, man. Come on. What he gonna put him? They're gonna run Wildcat with him, and he's gonna do what? Get pushed down.
I think they're gonna turn him into a punt returner, kickoff returner, and a slot receiver.
I'm gonna tell you what they're gonna turn him into, and if I had a visor, I'd give y'all the full thing. See my clipboard?
That's what
they're gonna turn him into. That's what they're gonna turn him into.
Hey, bro, but that's still a nice career.
Yeah. Hey, I'll hold a clipboard for 15 years if that's what it is. Hey, I'm not gonna knock it, but knowing his ego,
more than me. Yeah.
because of the ego that he has, that's not gonna suffice. Nope.
No, you're right.
He'll be hanging out with Johnny Manziel. That's his boy, right?
That is his boy. So, but Prime shout out to him. So hey, Prime might go.
He did. I kind of gave Prime the side eye on that one, but Prime prays for everybody, so I get it. He prays for everybody.
I'm with you. I was like, Prime, seriously, dude.
You gave the side eye.
Like, nah, no. Stop.
I gave him the half. What you used to say, big dude? I gave him the half Jeff. Like,
right.
That is Steph's word. You just Jeffed him.
Yeah, I gave him the halfie. And Prime's my dude, but come on, my guy.
Yeah.
Right, I do have a undrafted for you that I was actually glad to see. So Joey Aguilar, quarterback.
Yes. I'm glad you
I'm
brought
glad
him up because
to
I
see
forgot.
I'm glad to see he landed because he gave us some good years at App State, and so I was just happy for him.
You really liked him, didn't you? Or did you just like him because he was at App State?
A little bit of both. Even when
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad he came to App, and he did help us, win some games, and he improved each year. And you always saw the flashes of what he could be. He just wasn't
Mm-hmm.
consistent. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was going to get better at Tennessee, but at least he showed he could play in the SEC.
He
And
did. He
but he
did.
was still inconsistent then. I think if he can get down here with the Jaguars and get really consistent. Matter of fact, he has a good QB to pick his brain and really teach him about basically about that throwing, basically about anticipation. And some of it may actually just be his psychology. Sometimes he just
Mm-hmm.
may not
Mhm.
be truly confident in a throw. And as a quarterback, you gotta almost be like Aaron Rodgers, like everybody is always open and just throw a
Mm-hmm.
Brett Favre. So, he's not at a bad place to continue to learn the game or the position. I'm just
I
happy.
agree with you. And Liam Cohen is a good offensive mind. I know people made fun of him in his arrival in Jacksonville, but he's one of the brighter offensive minds we have in the league. So that is
Mhm.
definitely a good place for him to land. And
Yeah.
he'll learn a lot behind my boy Sunshine. He'll be
Yes,
good
he
to go.
will. He will.
All right, let's get into our first team here, the Atlanta Falcons.
Whew.
Oh,
You
or
gonna
excuse
skip
me, did I
Arizona?
skip one? I skipped Arizona. My bad. My
Hey man,
bad.
everybody skips them anyway.
That's
So
okay. I
hey,
get it. I get it.
I totally
that's
skipped
wrong.
them. My
Sorry,
bad. That
Arizona
is so
fans.
wrong. That is so wrong. All right, Arizona Cardinals, and
Mm.
we'll just kind of rotate around. Big dude, I have you set this one off. So
Oh,
Arizona, how do you think they did? Like, how would you assess their draft overall?
Without
um,
giving them a grade.
Yeah, don't
okay.
give up our
I won't give
grades
him a
yet.
grade. So I won't give him. I'll say I won't give him honors necessarily. But they took the best player available, and I understand and I respect that. I don't know how much it's going to change the team, but they needed to do that. And of course, they addressed the quarterback room. I don't know how that's going to end up. I don't know how fast. I don't know how their signing is going to go with Brissett, but Beck he has to be ready to go just in case. And then just okay. I don't think they were aggressive enough, to be honest with you. I thought they could have been aggressive and could have made some more trades and done everything later. So I guess. I mean, for me, it was almost like what is it? It was almost like business as usual with them, and
Mm.
I just didn't understand that. I didn't feel the urgency. I was excited at first. I said, okay, they're going to get the first pick. You got your running back. You got what's next? All these other people. What kind of trades? I thought they'd be on the phone with Howie or
Mhm.
somebody. I don't know what they were doing, to be honest with you. Nothing that is going to put them back in the ball game. And it was necessity, but it was barely necessity. So they were they got through it. Nothing spectacular.
Yeah.
All right, your thoughts, G? Anything different to add to Arizona?
Uh, no, I can't really say that much different. Looking at their top five needs, they filled four out of the five.
Hmm.
So I mean, I thought they did all right in that regard. They got a top five position ranked player, a top 10 position ranked player. So Jeremiah Love, running back wasn't a need, but they just stole it. I mean,
Yeah.
he was there. So that was a steal, a top 10, pick type steal. So, I thought they did all right. But the only thing is that they're still not gonna have a pass rush unless they do something else during this offseason, but their edges suck. Let's just call it what it is. And no
Hmm.
disrespect to the guys who are currently playing. It's one of the most difficult positions out there, and I'm just sitting on the couch. So, but I mean, yeah, they're just not good in today's NFL.
Yeah, and what you brought up about the edge was kind of my big thing when I looked at their draft. Like basically didn't draft an edge rusher. And again, their existing roster needs a lot of improvement. So definitely they missed on that. You guys know how I felt about Jeremiah Love. It wasn't an area of need, but I felt like he was a once in a lifetime player that you just couldn't pass up. And
Yep.
but then I go back to what Big Dude says: if you don't want to do that, then trade it and get something for it. So I know that was discussed as well prior to the draft. So that was another option, but I'm fine with them doing that. I like taking a chance on a quarterback with them. You got to figure they were probably looking towards next year's draft for their quarterback,
Mhm.
but taking a chance on Beck, don't know if I would have drafted him quite that high. He was one of my higher ranked quarterbacks in my top 5, but
Mhm.
maybe would have waited on the 4th or 5th round for him, especially the way this panned out. Probably would have at least waited to the next round for him, but I'm not mad
Mhm.
at that pick. Other than that, I just thought they had an average draft. Nothing that I was like, oh man, Arizona's going to be Arizona will be back in the top 5 next year. Unfortunately for them.
Yeah,
Um,
you're right.
G, you want to take us into Atlanta,
Oh, the Dirty Birds.
the Dirty
Yeah.
Birds.
You know, I like what they did. They met some of their, or they filled their top 5 needs. I thought that was really really good. They have some top 5 position players, top 10 position picks. I thought that was good. You know, I think it was a steal to get in Harold Perkins out at linebacker out of LSU, and they got him in the 6th round. And this dude was like a 15th ranked player at linebacker, so I thought that was a good steal for them. So you know, I think they did a pretty good job. I'm not mad at them.
All right, what about you, big dude?
Tremendous second and third round picks. A wide receiver that's a home run threat, Branch that they got, and the rest of the picks are solid. And I'm with G on Perkins. They did okay. They even had strong linebackers and good late picks. So I'm going
Mhm.
to say they did better than Arizona. So I'll say they were a little bit better up top on the first picks that they had. The other ones,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they did to change things, but I'll say that it was overall a good draft for Atlanta.
Yeah, I agree with both of you and just want to echo what G said. I was going to bring up Harold Perkins. I think that'll be a steal for them. He was another one of those guys similar to Arvell Reese, where they said they don't really know where to put him.
Mm.
So we'll see what happens with him, but I think that's their biggest steal. Okay, draft for them. Again, nothing to write home about, but better than Arizona if I'm comparing the two.
And you know
Um,
what? Before you roll off from that, Atlanta, they didn't have a 1st and 5th round pick.
yes, they did not have a first round pick, so that's important to remember too. That's right. Good point, G. I'll take us into Baltimore. Baltimore, I think, had a pretty decent draft. Actually, it's probably a little bit overrated. Um, Probably overrated in terms of their draft. I really like getting Vega Owane from Penn State with that first pick. I thought that was a good need. And Baltimore always does good with drafting their offensive linemen. They have a long history of doing well there. And Zion Young, I do not know for the life of me how I omitted him from my top 5 because I've been so high on him all year and saw him play so many times. But definitely love him. And I'm gonna retract the statement I made during the draft about their third pick in the 3rd round, Jacoby Lane. I kind of
Mm.
gave him the but I do like him. I think I was just comparing him to Makai Lemon, who was his teammate at USC, and just
Mhm.
think you tend to get a little bit overshadowed. But Jacoby
Yeah.
Lane is long, athletic. He's gonna make contested catches, and I love Elijah Surratt, the wide receiver from Indiana. So I think they did very well in their first 4 picks there. Did good on the back end. They got your guy, big dude Josh Cuevas in the 5th round, which I think was a steal.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And they filled in some of their other areas pretty well. They just needed to fill in a few gaps, to be quite honest. I know it was a disappointing season for them, but they weren't really terrible statistically. I think, some injuries and, Lamar was out for a big chunk of the season. I think people discount that. And they got into such a hole. And honestly, I don't think they ever recovered from the first game against my boys. Like, to lose in that fashion, it seemed like they never were right after that. Even when you thought they might get rolling, it never was right after that. So, but I thought Baltimore did okay. And I'll pass it over to you, G.
Yeah, I thought they did. They had one of the better drafts. I mean, I think they had 10, 11. I think it was 11 picks. So they had a lot of opportunities, a lot of bites at the draft apple. They've met all their needs, Now I think they had a really good approach to it because of their first 3 picks. They filled needs, their top 3 needs. So I thought that was smart. Top 5 ranked picks per position. They have a number top 10, ranked per position. And you already brought up Surratt. That was my steal. With all of my evaluations, I always like to see did anybody steal someone. And I thought Elijah Surratt was a heck of a steal from IU.
Yeah, totally agree with you on that. Big dude, wrap us up with Baltimore and take us into Buffalo, my friend.
All right. So with Baltimore, I think I'm on the same plane as you and G Guru. Especially with Iwani getting drafted, and also the edge, and no telling how good their edge really is going to be. Zion Young, I think he's going to be exceptional. I think he's a future. There's a chance he's one of those guys I think has a chance to be a future All-Pro. So you have those picks. The tight end again, pleasant surprise. They probably could have stood to pick one more, maybe O-lineman in there somewhere. I would say they did have pick somebody in the 7th round. The punter, they must have really needed one. I didn't quite understand that because you could get one free agency. I didn't know why. Or you could get one through the undrafted free agent. But they took Eckley. And it'll be interesting to see who the running back is Adam Randall, because I know even though Clemson didn't have the year they wanted to have and lost to Penn State in their bowl game and had a number of things happen this year, surprised their coach made it out of there clean. I'd like to find out really what it was about the Clemson players that really were big in this particular draft. So I think that the Ravens have some more surprises in the way they do things. You're a defensive-minded coach. Let's see how that works. And we'll see how that works. I thought it was a very good draft for them, because they need to give Lamar some protection, and they also need to give him another target because their tight end, he's not going to play forever. So we'll find out how good this kid Cuevas is. We saw him, we saw his video, and I think that they're the best is yet to come. As I go into Buffalo, Buffalo has a strong defense. And of course, they made some strong defensive picks. Parker, and I think the jewel of the draft was Davison Igbinozium. A lot of people overlooked him. They didn't look at how good that not only he is, that he can be. I don't know how they would pass on a guy that's a 6'2" corner that has all those different attributes that he has, long arms and everything else. So I think he'll be able to play well with that, Buffalo that plays fast. And, of course, the stud O-lineman, Bowery. We'll see just how good Bowery is. And, of course, some of the late picks and wide receiver picks were very good. The defense should improve. And they had some good trade activity, for some of the stuff they had. And they, didn't have to, but they gave up picking in the first round, which I think actually worked out well for them. So that's why I had on Buffalo.
All right, I'll jump into Buffalo. G, I'll have you wrap up Buffalo, and then you can transition right into your boys, Carolina. I thought my boys, after suffering through the first night with them not picking anyone, I think they had an average draft. But one of the things in retrospect that I look back on with them is they're a team that only needs some small pieces here and there. They're close. And I think as a fan who's close to it, I look at it as we're so far off. Our defense was a few stops away from advancing. So as I look at their draft in retrospect, I'm really happy with the Jason Kilgore selection in the 5th round. Your guy, Zane Durant. I'm actually going to predict that they're going to be starters before it's all said and done. Did some research into the defense that Jim Leonard wants to run, and I kind of understand the strategy now. But going into the draft, I had my own mindset for this is who we should have, but I'm not the defensive coordinator. He knows what he needs for what he wants to do. And apparently those 2 gentlemen specifically fit in very well. And this Skylar Bell kid, I wasn't sold on, but I was talking to a few people around where I live, and they're like, yeah, they're like, you getting one right there. And I like the fact that he did play at Wisconsin. So, he's played on the big stage before. He knows what that's going to be like. And big dude, as we said, before we got on, nailed it with Davison Igbinosun, man. He's just got to stop being so handsy. That's the only thing that worries me. He's very handsy. Gets a lot of penalties, but he cut down on it. He cut down on his penalties big time, between the previous 2 years. So I'm not ecstatic about our draft, but it's done now. So I'll accept it, and I'll trust the coaches on this one. I'll turn it over to you, G.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was average too. I mean, at least you all touched on the top 5 needs going into the draft, and so I thought that was definitely a good thing. You did get some players in the top 5 position, but you didn't get any players who are ranked between 6 and 10 in their positions. And so with all those picks, I thought you'd probably have at least one of those. But you mentioned Skylar Bell. That was my steal for the Buffalo Bills. And I actually looked at some of his tape and stuff earlier today. And yeah, like the person told you, I think y'all got one with that one. And so we're going to the Carolina Panthers. I thought they did. I thought they did really, really well. Actually, we got all our needs met, but for the life of me, I don't know why they didn't get a tight end. We need that release valve pretty bad. So I'm just surprised they didn't go for that. But nevertheless, I thought they did pretty well. They have some top 5 position picks. They have some 6 and 10 position ranked picks. But I really, really love. Well, actually, I think before I do this, Monroe Freeland, when they first picked him, I was all down on him. Then I had to go back, and I was like, "Oh, okay, no, they got one." So I need to retract that. My bad, Mr. Freeling. I'm actually glad to have you. And then you got my boy though, Chris Brazil out of Tennessee. I was so happy that we got him. So that was our steal for this draft. So I thought we did better than average. I will say we just that tight end though that definitely needs to be filled somehow, some way.
All right, big dude, your thoughts on the Panthers?
Super draft for the Panthers. I think they would have gotten Kenyon Sadiq if he was available, G, but he wasn't there. Right. Yeah, they would have gotten him. But Freeling, I think, will be great. He started the last 13 games for Georgia. He'll be ready to go. He's healthy. And Lee Hunter, which was another one of our sleepers, I think he's ready to go, 25 years old, ready to play in Carolina's defense. I think they'll play a lot faster this year. You mentioned Brazel. Also, Sam Heck, for the inside offensive lineman, he can play center or guard. And we'll see how that goes. Yeah, and then Zakee Wheatley from Penn State. We'll find out how he plays with the rest of the secondary. But it looks like all the needs were taken. There were strong picks that they had in just about every round, and it is one of the very few. And I think they're going to provide immediate impacts because they're all going to be able to contribute, I think, and play early. And strong picks in every round, to me, that makes it a very, very good draft. That's one of my better ones.
Yeah, I agree with Big Dude. I think you guys had an above average draft for sure. I'm not going to touch on the guys that you guys touched on. I totally agree with you on all of them. I think you had a couple of steals though, G. I like this Will Lee kid, cornerback from Texas A&M, And I like their last pick, Jackson Kuwach, to possibly make the squad on the linebacker from Miami, Ohio. Just don't be surprised if they're making an impact. I could see Kuwach first on special teams and then working his way, but I think Will Lee could work himself to be a stalwart in your secondary. So I'll just throw that out there for them. Big dude, you want to take us into Chicago?
Okay, Chicago Bears. Solid picks. Especially safe. I still can't believe they got Dylan Thieneman. I can't believe it, and I'll get to who else passed up on him. It's just beyond me that he went at 25. And I think with the Bears and all they're trying to do, Thieneman is going to be there and lead the way. I think, again, this is another draft that is very solid, not the top one, but a very good one in almost all of them. I thought a steal for them was even at fourth round, Malik Muhammad, the corner from Texas. So I really like what the Bears did in this draft. They could have probably used another running back maybe or another O-lineman, but I think that they, with the picks that they had, I think that they were very efficient in getting done what they had to get done. So I say good job, Bears, on that draft.
All right, G.
Yeah, similarly, I thought they did a really good job. I'll also say it's above average. They did not get the edges that is one of their needs, but they did get they got 3 steals out of this in my view. The tight end, Sam Roush, I thought that was a steal. Keyshawn Elliott, the linebacker out of Arizona State, I thought that was a steal. And Malik Muhammad, the cornerback out of Texas, I thought all three of those were steals to me. So I think they did a really good job despite not getting that edge. Good number of top 5 position ranked positions. Same thing with 10. Between 6 and 10, they got at least one of those. I just thought they did a really good job.
Yeah, I agree with you both on the Bears. I have them doing an exceptional job, actually, with their draft. I love Thieneman. As Big Dude said, that's one of our guys.
Yep.
Xavier Thomas, the wide receiver they selected in the 3rd round. Mark it down. LSU guy. I think he's going to add something to that offense. They're already pretty potent, but I think the loss of DJ Moore, this guy will fill that in and then some. But I like Malik Muhammad a lot. But, yeah, I thought the Bears did really well. I would have liked them to have possibly done a little bit better on the defensive side. They did get a lineman and a linebacker late, but I'm not sold on those 2 late picks because they did not rate high in defensive efficiency last year, and that ultimately cost them in the playoffs. But, we'll see what they do. There's still that second wave of free agency to happen, so we'll see, where they go there. G, you want to start us off with Cincinnati?
Cincinnati. Another one that I thought they did pretty good. They pretty much met their pre-draft needs, except linebacker, which was their top need, at least according to the source I was following, which totally blows my mind. But nevertheless, they knew what they were doing and what their needs were at a particular time. I will give them that, they got some good top 5, top 10 position picks, but they have 2 steals that I thought were, and I think these gentlemen will make a difference. I do think Connor Lew, the center out of Auburn, I thought that was one, and I would love to hear your thoughts on him, Big Dude. And then Jack Indries, who we talked about earlier, that was a steal. That was almost one of them. Like I was going to say maybe that was the steal of the draft, but I still have 16 more teams to go. But this one was up there.
All right, Big Dude, what about you?
Strong for Cincinnati, a strong edge pick, of course. Cassius Howell, he'll replace Hendrickson, which needed to happen. Good offensive line prospects, as G mentioned. I do like Lou, and I don't know much about Parker, but I understand Parker is serviceable. And like you said, the tight end, I think is going to be important. Like I said, I think in this draft, it'll be important that, and some of them will have to wait their turn. I know that they got some players from Seattle and a few other places in free agency, but I think Hal will be the person that will make the earliest difference for Cincinnati. And that's Cincinnati. Good draft for Cincinnati.
Yeah. For me, I think Cincinnati probably had an underrated draft. Not a lot of those names are going to jump out at most people, but I think they did pretty solid. I like the cornerback out of Washington, Takario Davis. I like Connor Lew as well. But this Brian Parker, the guard out of Duke, I think he has the potential to be an all-pro. And that's going to be, again, one of those mid-round steals that has that tendency to evolve into a 10, 12-year player at a high level. Jack Endry's your guy. G, certainly I like. But I think Cincinnati's draft is going to be remembered as being underrated when you see what the output is for the guys that they drafted. Because it seems like when they drafted Cassius Howell, that it was kind of a drop-off because we weren't really that familiar with those other guys. But I think they did well. And, again, Cincinnati's another one of those teams didn't have a first-round pick because they lost that in the trade with the Dolphins. So we'll see what happens with them.
Either.
Say that again?
Yeah, they didn't have a fifth rounder either.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Keeping it in state, G. Keeping it in Ohio. Let's go with Cleveland next.
Yeah, again, I thought they had a good draft. I don't know if I would call it above average, but it wasn't just average. So somewhere between there, they met three of their needs or two of their needs, offensive line and wide receiver. Why they got another quarterback? Now you got four in the quarterback room. I thought that was a wasted pick, but I don't know anything. I just watched the game. But they did get some good positionally ranked players. Y'all know Concepcion and Boston. We talked about those two. Your boy McNeil Warren out of Toledo, that was definitely my sleeper, and he went second. So I mean, they definitely got some players, no doubt about that. The quarterback just really blows my mind. Joe Royer, tight end out of Cincinnati. You have to go back and look at some of his work, and I think they also got one. Hold up, did I get that right? Yeah. I think they also got one. I thought that was a steal.
All right, big dude. What are your thoughts on the Browns?
Without the risk of repeating everything that G said, I'm definitely with you, G, for just about all this. Tremendous prospects, I thought, across the board in aggregate. Fano, I think, is going to make a difference up front. They're going to need to protect Shador or whoever is in there. Shador has his playmakers, and Cleveland also has their return man if they choose to put Concepcion in there as a return man, because that's what Concepcion is. And I think the sky's the limit for McNeil Warren. So fabulous Alabama picks, Brailsford and Jefferson. And I like the idea of having a quarterback to come in to spice things up for camp. So outstanding draft, I thought, for Cleveland, way better than I thought that they would do. So I would say Cleveland is has a lot of enthusiasm, if nothing else, right now.
Big dude just stirring the pot with that fourth quarterback.
Yeah, I think that's part of the entertainment part of the NFL. That's why you do it.
Yo, man, y'all heard the Cleveland coach's his press conference afterwards?
No.
Oh man, that dude, y'all have to go look at some of you have to look at some of his press conferences. That is a dude.
Well, I did see a clip where I know that the media found out he won't be easy. He won't be a Stefanski, that's for sure.
No.
Got a little bite in him.
Yes. I love it though.
So for me, I'm in total agreement with Big Dude on the quality of Cleveland's draft. Not only for the teams that we'll get through tonight, but I'm going to say for the second half of the teams, I think that they had one of the best drafts of all the teams. They were aggressive. I like how they moved around. kind of stockpiled their picks, got what they needed. Spencer Fano's going to be a first-day starter, no doubt about it. And then the 2 wide receivers, man, I really like what they're doing on offense. We know how good their defense is already. And, they added a piece there at the linebacker spot. Certainly that'll help. But I love Concepcion in Boston. I think you're going to see a big difference. I mean, offensively, they were at the bottom in almost everything. So we should see that flip. But I don't really have anything bad to say. And I think again, total agreement with Big Dude. I like the Taylor Green pick, as crazy as it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
both of y'all are just messy.
But I feel like, and y'all know, I thought about this as I was prepping for this episode, and man, I hate to say this. I love the Sanders family. I love me some Shador.
Yeah, me too.
Taylor Green does all the other things that Shador can't do. And if Taylor Green could figure out the consistency in his passing game, I'm going to just leave the 3 dots right there because, man, because he's more athletic than Shador is. He's definitely by far going to be the most athletic quarterback on that roster. And if somebody could get with him in his passing game, I don't know who he works with outside of the team. If he has a one of those quarterback gurus or whatever, there's plenty of them out there. But if he can get with somebody to work with that passing, because I know interceptions was one of his big issues in college. If he can get that under control, I dare say that he could challenge, because we know Dylan Gabriel. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson, if Deshaun Watson's healthy on his worst day, Dylan Gabriel is not going to even play over Deshaun Watson at this point.
No doubt. He's healthy. Deshaun is playing.
Exactly. And they're saying that he's got a good chance to be the starter this year. We'll see. But I could see Dylan Gabriel being out of there once they get this guy. And that might be why they drafted him, G, to get Gabriel.
And, I thought the same thing. And I honestly hope Dylan Gabriel leaves and goes to a different place.
Mm-hmm. He should.
Just from a
humane empathy perspective. I mean, just kind of how things went down in Cleveland. And, I just wish he'd go someplace where he'd be appreciated.
Well, he was put in a terrible situation. And I found myself at one point like not liking the kid. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I never had a problem with Dylan Gabriel before. Loved him in college. He seemed like a great kid. But they created this Shador versus Gabriel situation. And I felt bad after, because I never had a problem with that dude. You know what I'm saying? So
it's Stefanski's fault.
Yeah, all Stefanski's fault. All Stefanski's fault. So, yeah, I think Cleveland so far out of all the teams, and they're at the top for me in terms of their draft. Big Dude, it almost seems blasphemous to have you start with the Cowboys, but I'm going to let you start with the Cowboys.
Actually, you know what? I got to give it to the Cowboys, man, because this is how I rate this draft. I mean, looking at, at this draft, I guess what I have to look at what the Cowboys did, they came out all business. I think the Cowboys, with all their picks, it's not that they were perfect with them, but they were very efficient. I thought it was tremendous trade activity to get who they had to get when they got up to go get Downs. And they only went up a little short time period, a little couple of picks. They grabbed Downs, they needed Downs, and they got them. And they were ecstatic. That was the most ecstatic. They were almost chest bumping when they got them. So strong picks across the board. They could have at least used one more lineman. They did, and I know you all going to call me a homer, but I did tell you all about Drew Sheldon. And
you did.
I did not think the Cowboys were selective. I don't know why how he would fit on the Cowboys, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, I'm happy for him as well. But I just think this draft, the way that they maneuvered their work with, I think the Eagles, to get what they had to do to get more picks, they were strategic, and I think they're efficient. Now, the prospects all the way across, they're not perfect, but they're way better than people would think, all the way down to LT Overton, the defensive lineman from Bama. I mean, that's doing some work late and getting who they have to late, because they do need to make some changes. So, and they got a wide out, and there's a lot going on, as we know, in Cowboys land with wideouts. So I would say it was a good pick if you include, and this has to do with style points, with the way they did business and the way they maneuvered in the draft. I'll say that they had one of the better drafts because they got the person that they needed to get over everyone else, which I think was like an 80-20 thing in terms of value. Go Dallas, I have to give it to you. You know, I don't say go for the year, but very, very fine job by Dallas.
Yeah, for once, right? They did the right things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gee, what are your thoughts on Dallas?
That's how I grade. That's how I grade.
Yeah, I thought they were average, and I would say their pick was pretty front loaded. You know, I can't be mad at them for going for Caleb. I mean, what can I say? So not mad at him, but getting Malachi, Lawrence, and Barham, you know, I thought they did a good job on the edge with those two. So
Oh Lord,
huh?
they're just laughing at you. That's all, man.
Oh, yeah, didn't know much about Shelton beyond what you mentioned before, so I thought that was good. But after that, I'm just like, you know, you have to pick because you have to pick. I mean, I wish the gentleman well those last three picks, but based on what I looked at their performances, I mean, I don't know if it's going to translate well. But those first four picks, I thought they did a really good job. So I give them um, an average draft. Hit some good needs and picked up a steal with Caleb. So yeah, that's it.
Well, I'm gonna say two things first. Big dude, it ain't being a homer if you're hitting, man. And they've been
Exactly.
hitting. So you can't attach homer when they're hitting. First and foremost. Second, gee, man, I would have hated it to been in a class that you taught, my friend. My goodness, you are brutal with the grades. Woo. Let me tell you something. I thought Dallas was right there under Cleveland. I thought they had an exceptional draft. Um, I like everything they did in the draft. Like Big Dude said, I like how they conducted business. It wasn't too Dallasy, you know, not one point through the night when I was saying, oh, here we go again.
Like Dallas
Everything
on
was
Dallas.
meticulous. Dallas didn't Dallas on draft night. The only thing that if I had to pick something, but I know why they did it, because they may have lost him because they didn't have a second round pick. They probably could have gotten Malachi Lawrence later, but they didn't have a second round pick. So
And that
most
makes
likely they would have lost out. So they had to get him where they got him.
yeah.
But, and that's really digging. That's like finding an extra space in your paper, and I just don't want to give you 100 type situation. But I thought they did exceptionally well. I think Overton, I think the last three picks, the Moore kid from Florida, the cornerback Overton from Alabama, and the wide receiver from East Carolina all have a shot to make the team. So we'll see what happens. But, you know, of course, for Mr. Smith, the wide receiver, you know, that wide receiver room is loaded. So good luck to your partner.
Exactly.
You know, practice squad possibly, which isn't a bad thing. You can get on that practice squad because injuries do happen. You can get called up anytime. So
You have to stay
I would
ready.
say practice squad aspirations probably just because they're so loaded. But I like what they did a lot.
Yeah, I mean they did good to not have a 2 and a 6 round pick.
Mm-hmm.
So, you
Did
know,
very
I have
well.
to give them their props on that.
Yep. Start us with Denver.
Denver,
Ooh, Denver.
the rich get richer. So they met all their needs. Not only did they meet all their needs, but they got Jonah Coleman, a running back out of Texas A&M. That was a steal. And also they stole a lot of these tight ends. I was surprised how far a lot of these quality tight ends dropped. But they got I hope I pronounced his name, Jolly, out of NC State.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a steal. They met all their needs. They got some high position ranked players in the top 5, top 10. I just thought they had a really, on top of the season they had last season, and then you come and you get this. The rich get richer, man.
Yeah, as somebody who's in the same conference as my boys, I was not happy.
Shouldn't be.
Especially when I saw the Jonah Coleman pick. I'm like, great. We already can't
That was a
defend the
good pickup.
run. We already can't defend the run. I mean, of course, I'm hoping it's better and I'm optimistic. And now we have one of our teams that we need to get past that gets a running back of this caliber. So they had a solid pick. Wasn't overly thrilled with it, but it was an above average draft as well. Nothing more for me to add for Denver. What about you, big dude?
Not much for Denver. I don't think they needed a whole lot. I mean, solid picks. They could have used maybe an edge or two more, and maybe a playmaker. And they could have been maybe a little bit more strategic in how they maybe did some of the business to arrive at what it is that they needed, which wasn't much. So I'll say it was, it wasn't great, but it was good enough.
No first rounder, no second round,
Yeah,
no sixth round.
right. Yeah,
And
not
ended
much
up
to
with
do.
Coleman. Ended up with Coleman. That's gonna be a factor. That Coleman kid's gonna be a factor.
Mm-hmm.
That worries me. Next we have the Detroit Lions. I'll start this one off. I love what they did with their first pick. They obviously needed an offensive tackle. They lost tackles and other linemen up front there on the offensive line due to retirements and injuries. So they definitely needed to fill that. I don't know that I like the Blake Miller pick, but where they picked, I guess you didn't really have much of a choice if you were going to go offensive tackle.
Yeah.
He wasn't one of the ones that I was highest on, but at the edge, your guy G from Michigan, Derek Moore, I like that pick, but not really that thrilled with Detroit's draft. They didn't have a third round pick, and looking at their picks, rounds 4 through 7, nobody really jumps out at me as somebody that I think is going to contribute right away. Maybe the Arizona State kid at cornerback. I do like him a little bit. Caught some of the West Coast games, Keith Abney. But outside of that, I'm not super thrilled. But I'm just saying their draft was okay. It was okay. Gee, what about you on the Lions?
You know, pretty similar. I thought they were okay. Nothing truly jumped out. On paper, they met 4 of their 5 needs, but they went out and got Abney. I thought that was a good steal. So, I just thought it was a meh other than Abney.
That's a good description. What about you, big dude?
Okay. Strong, definitely offensive line pick, tackle, and Blake Miller. They could have gotten somebody else, but like I said, things were shaking up, and they did have to get somebody. And as the number of people retiring and a lot of unpredictable things going on, they need a new generation of O linemen. They could have gotten another one. Very deep defensive draft, I would say, more so than we thought, because anything to complement Aiden Hutchins. And some really good late round picks. I like Skylar Gil Howard, a defensive tackle from Texas Tech. So I thought it was a good draft, and I don't know if that's going to make him better alone. I think the offensive tackle and I think the D line will be able to contribute probably earlier than most.
All right. On to the Green Bay Packers. Big dude, you want to start us off with them?
Packers had these strong defensive prospects. I know, Guru, you had told us in the beginning about Brandon Cease, outstanding. Just really good defensive draft, Cease, I think, can play right away. McClellan and Denai Dennis Sutton certainly can be in the rotation. Denai Dennis Sutton could play earlier, especially if Micah Parsons does not come back. So we don't know if he's available. If he doesn't come back before the beginning of the season, then he has a shot. So I would say that this was a very good draft for Green Bay for the amount of picks that they had. Now, again, I thought Green Bay may do a little bit more trading and do a little bit more thing with offense to try to help out Love, the quarterback. I didn't see that as much. But I think they're back onto the defense again. I would say really good draft by Green Bay.
All right, G, what's your assessment of the Packers?
Yeah, I thought overall it was not the best draft for Green Bay outside of Brandon. I hope I pronounced his last name correctly, Cisse.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest. I mean, I am familiar with Dennis Sutton, and I won't say anything more. I think dude did a good job. Trace Mack kicker. I didn't know Green Bay needed a kicker, but apparently they did. So hopefully he makes the team and does good. So I just thought it. I don't even think it was an average draft for them. It was just ugly to me. Other than that, maybe one or two bright spots.
Not having a first round pick, I thought they did very well at the top of their draft. Cisse, McClellan, Dennis Sutton, I think sure shots. One of the problems I have with Green Bay's draft is they were 26th in sacks allowed and they picked one lineman. Come on, man.
Yeah, just this center. Yep.
Come on. So that's the biggest problem I have with them, but it wasn't terrible, wasn't great. It was Green Bay, right?
I thought it was
It was
bad.
Green Bay in January. All right. Next up, we have the Texans. Oh, another bane of my existence team. Gee, you want to start with them?
Yep, they met their top 5 positional needs. I thought they did pretty good. They didn't have any third rounders, but I thought they made the most of what they had to use big dudes framing. I thought it was very efficient in terms of what they did, but overall, I would still say it's pretty average. I thought Kamari Ramsey, the safety out of USC, that was a steal down there in the 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
That was a steal. Caden McDonald, I mean, he's going to do his thing. Relish going to do his thing. So, but overall, I just thought it was pretty efficient.
What about you, big dude? Those
okay. I don't mean to sound opposite there, Professor, but no, not necessarily opposite. But I would say that outstanding first and second round picks. Rutledge from Georgia Tech. I wasn't 110% sure where he came from, to be honest with you. But it sounds like it's going to work. Looked him up. Of course, Caden McDonald, just outstanding. I think Caden McDonald is definitely, if there was a darling in the draft class team, he would be in it. Definitely balanced late round picks. I agree with you, G. And also Aiden Fisher from Indiana, people have forgotten all about. I think he'll be a pleasant surprise. And I still think with what's going on with their quarterback, and I think there's where another quarterback in camp wouldn't be a bad idea. So I think that they were good. They were pretty solid.
Man, see that was you, big dude, again, man. When that quarterback dropped the mic on us. That's a great observation, and it didn't hit me till just now that Houston should have picked up a quarterback.
They should. Yeah.
Wow. All right, now I got to recoup after all that. So I was a little bit surprised that they drafted so much defense. I mean, their defensive depth is going to be ridiculous right now. With their top 10 in every single defensive category, top 5 in most, actually. Top 10 is doing them a disservice. And they address some needs on the offensive line. I think CJ Stroud, who they're obviously going to stick with, which is I just don't get it, because in college he showed that he would run and he was a dual threat. I don't understand what this Statue of Liberty CJ Stroud is in the league. Now, one of the things that we may have forgotten about, he had a lot of concussions early on. So maybe he's a little hesitant to take hits, and I get that, I suppose. So, but they did get a couple of offensive linemen, so I think they kind of addressed the things that they probably needed. I'm with you, big dude. This Rutledge dude came out of nowhere, but I trust them. That's what they do for a living. I trust them. If you use your first pick, and they moved up for that pick because they swapped with my boy, so they must have really liked him. So I gave him a decent analysis there, but I don't understand the defensive situation for them. I just think it's going to come down to Stroud. Doesn't really matter what else they draft. If he's not together, it's going to always hold them back at the end of the day. So, that's my opinion there. Big dude, why don't you take us into Indianapolis as we come down the home stretch here?
Indianapolis. Well, they have strong defensive prospects as well, with Allen and I think AJ Halsley. You know, those are some players, again, I think that were even underrated, but I think in the Colts defense, it works out well. Some sleeper players. I know in our interactions, Guru, we talked about what was taking Caden Carey so long to be drafted. You know, was glad to see it. And they got Caden Carey cheap, and as I think for a steal. And I think their defense will strengthen. Now, I was concerned maybe that Indianapolis didn't come up with really a playmaker. I don't know who their running back is. They did get a receiver, but I think with a quarterback that you got a 2-year, $88 million extension, you got to give him a new toy. I think he lacked that.
Wow.
And that's what I say for Indianapolis. Pretty good draft, missing a few things. I actually probably gave them the benefit of the doubt more just because they're trying to find their way. And let's see, did they didn't, or did they have a first round pick? Did they have a first round? No, they didn't.
No, they didn't have a first round.
Yeah, so for not having a first round pick, that's why I gave them the benefit of the doubt.
All right, what about you, G?
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job. They got all their needs met, and then they got a steal at running back with Seth McGowan. I mean, he was like the 10th ranked running back coming out. So, and they got a really good one. Got him in the 7th. Got all their needs. So, I thought they did a good job. Halsey, the safety from LSU, they were to pick him up in the 3rd. I thought that, I thought that was really good. So I thought they had a really good. I thought they did a really good above average draft.
All right, and I think if I remember my math terms right, Indianapolis had a concave up draft to me. I think I got the one right. Very good on the front end. Love the CJ Allen, AJ Halsey. What the heck they were doing in the middle of that bad boy?
So
yeah. I mean, Botcher's okay from Oregon. I like Curry, but Seth McGowan and Burks, they are going to be impactful on offense. And I'm a little bit surprised that Burks went so far down, and I'm kind of curious. It's just something that I maybe missed with him in reviewing the prospects, because he was a big play guy at Oklahoma, reliable wide receiver. Of course, I don't know if he replaces what they lost, but I think that he'll help that offense. Defensively, I'm just not sure this George Gums are either of you familiar with this George Gums Jr. character?
No.
That they got at edge, and they got him before Caden Curry, which was interesting.
They
weren't terrible. They weren't terrible statistically, but against the pass, they had some struggles with. They were 23rd total offense, but they weren't bad in specific categories other than the pass. They were 30th against the pass. And in their division, you got Sunshine. If you have a regular CJ Stroud doing his thing, that's going to be problematic. But I do like that they got a linebacker and a safety. AJ Halsey should be able to help in that passing game and be a general back there. So we'll see. Not overly impressed. Again, same thing I said for Houston. I feel a lot for Indy's going to hinge on Daniel Jones' recovery from that Achilles. Is Riley Patterson, I think is his name. Forgot his name the other night. He might have to start, and he looked fine. Or they could bring Old Man Rivers back for a few weeks. So we'll see what they do with that. But yeah, not overly impressed with them.
Mm-hmm.
Throw it over to you, G.
Yeah, Jacksonville. Yeah, this just I mean on paper they get positions filled that they need to fill. But still with some of those choices, my head is scratching. So I don't know. Other than Tanner, I don't know how you pronounce his last name. The tight
Tanner
end out of
Cozy,
Houston.
y'all maybe.
Yeah, in round 15, I mean in round 5, I thought that was actually a good pickup. If you go look at Houston's games and watch him, I thought that was a good pickup. I'm sure the guys at the top of this board, 2 and 3rd round, I mean, they probably know some things that I just didn't see. So, like you say, Guru, I'll trust them. But yeah, I just think it was average for not to have a first round pick. They to get this far, average.
Yeah, what about you, big dude?
Yeah, and I'm thinking the same way that G is. And I'll will reference that they did get a really good pick with Pregnon. Good pick there. We don't know exactly what position Pregnon. I know he's a guard, but it looks like he could play a couple of things. I think they needed one more offensive line prospect, but Pregnon was the guy. And I think what I saw missing, I know that they have another running back, but Etienne, somebody needed to draft another running back just to have a heir apparent and somebody in the stable to look at how they're going to account for the production of Etienne and what he had.
Right.
So he's gone. You need to account for that production some type of way. Hopefully they have a plan. The defensive prospects, they're solid. I'm not sure whether they're going to be early contributors. I think at best their 3rd round pick Regis looks like he might be in the rotation at defensive line, probably at the 3 technique. So I think that nothing tremendously exciting. They did get a linebacker person out of Middle Tennessee. That's Parker Hughes to overtake the position they had last year. I know they have a few different middle off-ball linebackers and other linebackers as well. So they were fine. I don't think that they set the world on fire. So I'm going to say barely average, maybe just above average. That would be where I'm at.
Yeah, definitely average for me. And 2 specific things stand out for me that makes this average almost below average. They ranked 20th in rushing. They just lost their best running back, and they got 1 lineman on the offensive side of the ball to help with that.
That's bad.
I'm missing something there. And then they're 21st again in passing defense. They did get Regis with that 2nd pick, but this Jalen Husky safety out of Maryland, that's a no for me. The edge rusher out of Duke is a no for me. The edge rusher out of Washington's a no for me. So that pass defense, that's why they lost to my boys in the playoffs. They couldn't stop our passing game. And I don't see what they did here to improve. And they're not going to stop it this year or anybody else as far as that goes. So, average at best for them. And in our last review of the night is the Kansas City Chiefs. G, you want to start us off with them?
Yeah, no 3rd round pick, but I thought they did a really good job with the ones that they had. I mean, we don't need to get into Delane. We already talked about Delane before. Woods was definitely a good pickup. I thought getting Emmett Johnson, the running back out of Nebraska, that was a heck of a steal. We talked about this at the top of the show. Garrett Nussmeier was a steal. I thought they did a really, really good job. Now, they didn't get some offensive linemen, and they could still use help there. So maybe, like you said earlier, maybe they have a plan for the next round of free agency. So that's still a huge hole that they really, really need to fill. But the running back, I thought they did a good job, and quarterback, I think they have somebody who they can train up for the future. So I thought they did really good.
And I'm going to agree 100% with G. I don't have anything additional to add on Kansas City. Did very well. Big dude, I'll let you wrap us up.
Yeah, I don't have much else either, but those first 3 picks, I think they were exemplary. And I still say that Delane is the top corner in the draft. You know, you had Delane, and then maybe we'll get Woods, and then you all sold me on Thomas. You know, from Oklahoma. I think Thomas is the X factor that we'll be talking about, along with Emmett Johnson. You know, he's going to come in, but I think he'll come in a different style than Pacheco. You know, Pacheco was a slasher. I think Johnson might add a few more things on that Pacheco did. As much of a fan as I am of Pacheco, you know, of course, you know, he's from the town that I live in. So, you know, this is a guy who was Big Ten champ. I think a lot is going to be on the running back, and a lot is going to be to keep Mahomes in a good place. And Nussmeier, with all that he's been through, this is almost like fate, that regardless of where he got drafted at, he must be ready just in case Mahomes is recovering from an ACL and LCL tear, and he's still recovering from it. So I say Chiefs used good strategy. They conducted themselves well in this draft, the way they did business. I'm going to say probably one of the better drafts that I will say that is part of Big Dude's draft team.
Totally agree with you. Good wrap up there. So that will do it for this particular episode. So we got through our first 16 teams. On our next episode, we're going to pick up with the Vegas Raiders. We want to continue to thank you all for watching us, and continue to follow us and like us. Check out our videos. We'll be posting our grades for these teams right after the show. So make sure you continue to check in with us and stay engaged. Until next time, chasing rings. See ya later.
All right.